Yeah, we have some things to talk about tonight. I know y'all all was like, "Oh, damn, we got the Diddy verdict, we got the update that we needed." What else could be there to talk about? Well, in my opinion, there's a few things we need to be aware of, and I'm starting to notice. You know how they always say things are hiding in plain sight. So I started taking notice to certain signs of things. One, this cover here. This is actually from Beyonce's show that is going on right now, right? And I noticed there was a hidden message at inside of it, and I was like, okay, she's been doing like little, as you could say, spiritual rituals, things of the MK Ultra and whatnot, right? Anyway, the witch rituals and things like that, right? This in particular, though, stood out to me a lot because a lot of people started making this one go viral recently because it creeped a lot of people out. It creeped a lot of people out. I didn't want to necessarily start there, but I figured we might as well start there. If we have time to get into the other particulars, we'll get into the other particulars. Let me move this down as a matter of fact. Yeah. And we'll just go right into what the this messaging is about, I should say, right? Every time you on in the bushes listening. Always at work. That's what's up. That's what's up though. All right, so yeah, we shall start there. We shall start there. So, if you guys have not seen what I am talking about, let us go into Exhibit A. So, has anybody seen this at Beyonce's concert recently? Before she started singing the national anthem, and look at the blood red in the back with the triangle. It's like, fuck the national anthem. And you singing with this changing different colors and whatnot. But look, never ask for that belongs. Never ask for permission for something that already belongs to you. Of course, talking about the freedom, right? But then I noticed, like I said, in the very beginning, there's a bride of death with an American flag behind her. And I said, uh oh. that's a wait, what you know, Beyonce? What you know about Beyonce? What you trying to tell me out here? Cause now I'm intrigued. now I'm intrigued that you have a bride of death symbolism. Now this part, it was just the. Now I figured that's what the song they was going into was freedom, right? I figured that's the song they was going to go into, but like I said, it's just the fact that that was the symbolism you chose to have for you doing the national anthem. So I was like, okay, obviously you're talking about the death of America. And I said, okay, that's an interesting topic that people aren't thinking about. So started doing some little Googles, right? So yeah, women in a dress, faceless, bride of death, and they all pretty much link to the same meaning, right? And symbolism. So universally, It's an anomaly. The faceless bride can represent the universal experience of becoming a bride, focusing on the shared aspects of life. Transition, listen to the wording, right? Rather than an individual's specific identity. Keep that word in mind. Identity, transition. Keep those two words in mind, right? The absence of facial features allows viewers to project themselves onto figure, making the artwork more relatable and fostering a sense of shared experience. It can symbolize anonymity or a lack of individual identity, perhaps highlighting how women in certain societal or historical contexts have been seen as objects or defined solely by their role as a wife. Okay, so that could be the surface level meaning, right? But then you get deeper, right? Without a face to draw attention. Focus shift to the wedding dress itself, the symbolism it carries. Okay, like I said, it gets a little deeper. Social commentary and critique. In some cases, a faceless bride can serve as commentary on societal expectations, gender roles, or pressures associated with marriage. Pretty much how our ideologies are married to America in the home of the free, right? We think we can do everything that we want to, pretty much, right? Over here. We think we don't really have too many rules. We break the rules and bend the rules quite a lot here in America, right? Look at our president, for example. Breaks every fucking rule in the book. Okay? The main thing here is the loss of identity. And you've heard numerous times, and I mean numerous times, about America losing its identity. You heard that over the past few years. Identity crisis with America. America suffering an identity crisis. The collapse of American identity. You've been hearing that repeatedly throughout the past 5 or 6 years. Have you not? Baby Juju, what's going on? Jupiter, what's going on? Some say we just had our last traditional Independence Day. See? And I remember watching your take on that Kim Kardashian Santa Baby vid. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of signs right now that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to. That's really why I went live tonight. It's like something was telling me to go live and just, brief people up on a couple of things. Like I said, we are starting to experience certain signs. The paradox of liberty narrative warfare in America. The Americans have an identity crisis, not a political crisis. The key of America's problem now is identity. Like, it's so many articles over the past few years related to that. So I said, okay, now I see where you're cooking at, Beyonce. Now, with an identity crisis, I said, okay, the next thing that would happen would be the reset of America, wouldn't it be? Right? They always talk about the coming of a new America or whatever, or a new world order. That's pretty much what is brewing right now. Literally right behind the scenes. Excuse me. So I caught the message that Beyonce was trying to portray. Trying to say the death of America is coming. Now, if you notice, look at the stage. There's an arrow pointed directly into the crowd. But it's not an arrow. This is a missile. This is a missile. Now, as you guys know, or maybe some of you don't know, over the past couple of days, Trump and Iran have been having their little tit for tat on a chessboard. And Iran, I think, is about to have the last fucking laugh of things. I don't think a lot of people have been paying attention to the fact that there is still World War III brewing right in front of our faces. So, Exhibit B, right? Now, this is about, I want to say, 5 years ago this one happened.
So right now, thousands of people are in Iran together as the body of slain General Qasem Soleimani makes its way through the streets.
Earlier, dozens of Iranian lawmakers chanted "Death to America" as they met in parliament. Let's get now to CNN Fred Pleitgen. He has reported extensively on Iran and joins us now from Tehran. And Frederick, those chants are just a bit of the dramatic moment from that session. Also, we've now got this exclusive reporting from you on what the potential response will be from Iran.
Yeah, exactly, Victor. And, you know, one of the things that we've heard pretty much from all levels of politics here in Iran and from the military as well is that Iran is going to retaliate. There will be a response and there will be revenge. We heard that from Iran's supreme leader, from Iran's president as well. So I spoke to the main military advisor of Iran's supreme leader, someone who's extremely high in the hierarchy and very close to the power center of this country. And I asked Hossein Degan, what exactly is the response going to be? And he said there will be a response that will be a military response and it will be against military targets, but that Iran does not want a wider war with the United States. Let's listen in.
There are doubts all around a U.S. nuclear deal with Iran, starting with that country's supreme leader who must sign off on any agreement. At a speech over the weekend in front of a crowd chanting "Death to America," Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei agreed, condemning the economic sanctions on his people. Yes, death to America, Khamenei told the audience, because America is the original source of this pressure. All the more reason, the White House says, to strike a deal.
Do those comments give this White House any pause about moving forward with a nuclear deal with that country?
Jim, I can tell you that I think those kinds of comments only underscore why it is so critically important that the United States and the international community succeed in preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And the best way for us to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon is sitting down at the negotiating table.
There are also skeptics in both parties on Capitol Hill, where 367 lawmakers signed a letter to the president saying Congress must be convinced that the deal's terms foreclose any pathway to a bomb, and only then will Congress be able to consider permanent sanctions.
It's called straighter.
How many of you believe the Iranians in the past have been trying to build a nuclear bomb, not a peaceful power program? Okay, so we start with the proposition they're liars.
CIA Director John Brennan argued the pressure is on Iran, saying he's confident the U.S. intelligence community will have a good understanding of their nuclear activity.
So if they decide to go down that route, they know that they will do so at their peril.
White House Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough promised a Jewish American group the administration won't accept a bad deal.
Any deal would last for more than a decade, setting back Iran's program for far longer than would military strikes.
That is, the president cautioned, if a breakthrough can be reached.
Frankly, they have not yet made the kind of concessions that are, I think, going to be needed for a final deal to get done. But they have moved, and so there's the possibility.
As for the Ayatollah's "Death to America" comments,
again, this is how far back this shit goes.
Those kinds of remarks are aimed at an Iranian domestic political audience. What matters, official caution, is
and
what
now
they
that
agreed
we
to at the
have,
bargaining table.
now that we have President Dickhead in office, just pushing buttons and shit. After we attempted to patch this shit up, now they're not playing. Now they are not playing with us. And I wish I could show the actual video but it's from the History Channel of Nostradamus predicting the Iran versus the U.S. centuries ago. And that was going to be World War III and the beginning of the trial and tribulation and the reset of the world. And pretty much the death to Babylon. As you guys know what Babylon is, that's America. So this is pretty much what I am trying to tell you guys. The death of America is coming. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to sugarcoat this. Hold on. I'll start with this one, as a matter of fact.
Khomeini congratulated Iran for their
Blue Eyes,
victory
what's going
over
on?
the U.S. regime. Senator Joni Ernst, Republican from the great state of Iowa, joins me now. Senator,
This one's
this
recent.
is laughable. Do the Iranian people actually believe what Khomeini is saying?
No, Stuart, and thank you for having me on. I don't believe they do believe their supreme leader, and certainly the Iranian people have lived under the thumb of this theocracy for very, very long, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Iranian people take this opportunity to push back against the supreme leader and the mullahs that have kept them oppressed for so very long.
Okay, I'm going to stay on the subject. I want you to listen to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth discussing the success of those B-2 pilots. Watch this.
How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? So that American people understand, how about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery, or how hard it is to refuel midair, giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did. The chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic.
What pissed me off so bad about this was that Donald Trump was, also making these same dumbass remarks that, why weren't these pilots, these bombers celebrated? Why do you want bombers that pretty much almost just sealed our fate and gave the U.S. on the silver platter? You gave Iran our asses on the silver platter with those bombers. And you want us to thank you? Excuse me? That shit pissed me off. I said, wait. He really wants. They made the press. I'm so disappointed in the press, not necessarily giving those B-2 bombers the credit that they deserve. Motherfucker, we don't want to give anybody that bombed anybody that super credit of anything. Scarchild, what's going on, my brother? What's going on?
A hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things.
Senator, you are the first female combat veteran elected to the Senate, and you served in the military for over 23 years. You must be proud that one of those B-2 pilots, bomber pilots, was a female.
I am, of course I am, Stuart, and what I truly long for is a day when that is not the exception, it's the rule, that we have more females serving in such incredible positions of authority and demonstrating their skill. We are proud not just of this incredible female pilot, but also the others that were piloting on this mission and their support team. I was part of a support team, a logistics officer, an engineer officer, and truly understand it does take an entire team of exceptional patriots to make these types of missions work. So kudos to her and the entire team that made this happen.
And let's see if they get some respect from the media, too. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be nice.
It would be
yes.
nice. Let me change the subject. Doge is looking to sell off federal land.
Yeah, that part. We ain't asked to do this shit. You spending our tax dollars to bomb people, and we ain't call for this shit. Your impeachment started with that shit, too. They started to say, we got to impeach him. That's what they've been trying to do in office lately, is get his impeachment. Now they dismissed it. But they about to throw him out of office when he did that shit. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Ain't nobody authorized you to hit the button. You just went ahead and did it.
Through the For Sale Act. You're the Senate Doge Caucus chair. How much are you going to bring in? Is this a revenue source, selling federal land?
It is, Stuart, and I...
Okay. And then, of course, he wants to antagonize things, right?
Hey all, Peter Zine here, coming to you from Colorado. This video is a little late getting to you because I was hoping we were to get some more information on what happened when the United States dropped some bunker buster bombs on Iran over the weekend, but it does not seem like anything has clarified, so I'll give you an idea of what's happened and now what we're waiting for. So number one, the United States dropped a couple dozen major bombs on the Iranian nuclear facilities. Specifically a place called Fordow, which is basically under a mountain, Natanz, which is where they do a lot of their centrifuge work to enrich uranium, some of which of the facilities are heavily reinforced and underground.
You heard that, right? That was a specific target to hit the uranium. They pretty much were trying to limit their funds.
And Isfahan, which is a facility where they do most of the machining and the physical construction. The first two sites got hit with by bunker busters, most notably Fordow, whereas Isfahan was primarily hit by Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from submarines in the Persian Gulf. We do not have damage assessments from any of these places, which is part of the reason that I was kind of waiting. And we're probably not going to get it anytime soon. Donald Trump has said, of course, that every facility in the United States has been blown up into smithereens and is no danger whatsoever. The Joint Chiefs are like, no, we really don't know, and until somebody does an inspection, there's no way to know. The truth, obviously, is closer to the general's position than Trump's, but what's new there? Iran doesn't have a conventional military. They can't reach out and touch someone with tanks and planes in the way that you might expect a country of 80 million people to do. Their military is designed to occupy their own populations. It's a civil patrol force. They have normally reached out to touch people through sectarian groups that they get hopped up on weapons and drugs and basically send out to cause carnage. Groups like Hezbollah, for example, but groups like Hezbollah have basically been neutered. The Gazans are in no shape to do anything, and even if they were, the Americans are nowhere close to them. And the U.S. military footprint in the region is down to less than a quarter of what it was at its peak and continues to trend down. So the more normal military option is really off the table, and their more normal paramilitary operation is off the table, and that just leaves things like terror attacks, for example, dirty bombs, which might work, but they take time to put together and time to ship into place, and they can be intercepted, and so it could be a big splash, but then it would be a WMD attack on, say, the United States, which the United States would definitely respond with something more than some bunker busters. Okay, what do we know, or what are we waiting for? The bunker busters, the GBU-57s, I think that's the acronym. Anyway, this is the first time the United States has ever used them against an actual target, as opposed to testing, and we dropped 24 of the suckers. These are the 30,000-pound bombs. If anything can blow up a place like Fordow, it's probably these guys. But again, it's the first time we've ever used them. We don't know. So in many ways, this is a test case for the United States, as well as a question for Iranian actions. And what everyone wants to talk about is whether this is going to make it more likely to be a deal or less likely to be. Folks, there is never going to be a deal. Iran has never signed and implemented a security deal with anyone. In fact, the only thing that even comes close is the 1987 ceasefire in the Iran-Iraq War, which was never turned into a peace agreement. They haven't signed a deal with Iraq or with Turkey or with Pakistan or...
In other words, they don't do negotiations.
Anyone.
They don't like to do negotiations with anybody. That's numero uno about that. So I don't even trust the word of the diplomat. I'm going to read that article in a second here. I don't even trust the word of that diplomat saying that they won't respond, that they're just going to continue creating uranium. Just that smart aleck response there, they're just going to continue making the uranium. I already know. That ain't got nothing to do with, the rest of Parliament. That ain't got nothing to do with, certain leaders that can make certain things happen. You know what I'm saying? It's other shit that can happen as a result of that. They don't have to just, the government don't have to just send bombs right away. They could just have something happen over here and just to start that shit.
some cooperation deals on economics and, say, nuclear sharing with the Russians and the Chinese, and that's about it. So if you're obsessed with a deal on oil or technology or security, you just waste your time obsessing about something else. This is not how Persian society works. I would love to be wrong, but I've been right since 1979, when I was 5. Oh my God, I'm old. Anyway, so this is what a holding pattern in the Middle East looks like. People throw weapons at one another, things explode, but we're waiting for someone to fundamentally change the nature of the relationship, and I just don't see that happening on the Iranian side anytime soon. Oh, one more thing. The Israelis have proven that while they can take out Iran's air defense, and while they can't operate with impunity above Iranian skies, they lack the deep strike capability that is necessary to take out something like the Iranian nuclear program. Now it's an open question whether the United States lacks that capacity, and not just because of the size of the bombs. The Iranians have been preparing in some form for this sort of attack for decades, and that means that while these are the 3 most important sites that the Iranians have, they have dozens of others. Now, collectively, they're not as important.
Preparing for decades.
Important as these 3. So while this undoubtedly has set back the nuclear program quite a bit, it's certainly not over. And the question now is whether the Iranians try to spin their paramilitary forces back up, spin their nuclear system back up, or try something new. We're not going to learn that in the next 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're not going to learn in the next 2 days. But we can definitely prepare ourselves with certain things. Like information. Thus, them actually purchasing China's J-10C Counter-Strike airplanes. Just little things like that they're purchasing right now. Just the little things we can prepare our mind with. You know what I mean?
J-10C for Iran. So this is from the Bulgarian military.com. Iran bets on the J-10C to counter Israeli F-35. So Operation Midnight Hammer, the 12 days of war they've had with Israel has kind of highlighted the inadequacies of the Iranian air defense, apparently. So if you guys remember, Iran ordered Su-35s a while ago from Russia. They did not materialize. Rumor is those jets went to Algeria. So they're looking for a better airplane than what they have. So Iran's fighter fleet is basically what they bought from the U.S. in the 70s. Tomcats, F5s, F4s.
Tomcats. Well,
Tomcats.
Rest in peace.
That's right. So, yeah, Iran's Air Force, a relic of the past. So they've done what they can with those 3rd and 4th gen fighters. Obviously, when the U.S. left in the 70s, we took a lot of the expertise with us, but they've got those airplanes are still flying today. So they're looking for something newer. The J-10C has gotten a lot of publicity in the India-Pakistan engagement from not too long ago. So they're looking to the J-10C to help them, reinforce their ability to defend themselves. The article talks a little bit about the capabilities of the J-10, the radar, that carries the PL-15, which is a pretty long range missile. But, Mover, they don't currently have any Chinese aircraft, right? So, you buy the J-10C, and I think that there's like 30 or 40 of them they're maybe looking at buying, but I mean, you have to bring all that. Now you have to bring all the logistics also with that, and to stand that up, that's not like you flip on the switch and all of a sudden you got your engine shops and programs and all your avionics techs and all just the knowledge know-how to keep the J-10 flying. So I don't think this is like an overnight. This can't be an overnight plan. This is more of a long-term maybe look. But what do you think of Iran getting the J-10?
I love that the article says deed. Suck it, nerds.
It says what?
Deed. It says destruction of enemy air defense versus.
Oh.
Deuce told me we don't use that anymore, and I said it's always going to be deed in my heart.
Okay.
So think about this, Gonky. One of the things it points out is it's got an ESA and can carry the PL-15.
Mm-hmm.
Where did we just see the J-10 in action?
Yeah.
Pakistan.
Right.
Allegedly 2 kills from, I mean, we know there were kills. Now, whether the J-10 did it or whatever, we don't know, but probably the J-10 got at least a kill in that conflict. So that's a real world evidence. So countries are now clamoring to get, their hands on things that have been combat proven. They're not going to get the F-35, obviously, but they're saying they want to go against the Israelis. Personally, I don't think it matters what they buy. They're not going to have a shot in hell against that Air Force. My opinion only. I've seen it. I know that the Israelis can do some good work, and they did. Somebody got mad at us when we covered the Operation Midnight Hammer. I'm going to get it right eventually. They got mad at us because we didn't mention that Mossad and the Israeli Air Force had paved the way for that. And actually, we did. We did mention the fact that the air defenses were pretty much non-existent, and what was left was taken down with seed and 5th gen assets. The J-10 is not a 5th gen fighter. It's great. It may augment what they have because they really don't have a lot of great stuff. Maybe some MiG-29s, maybe some other fighters that are non-U.S., like you talked about the F-5 and stuff. But is it going to move the needle? No. The Su-35s, I think, were equally dangerous. But, dude, in 2025, if you're going up against the Israelis, you're going to need a lot. You need to go to Turkey. Go talk to those dudes about the con and hope that works out. You need to go to South Korea and talk to the KF-21 manufacturers. You need to go something to get you, or you need to ask China for the J-20. You need to start, or if you're going to get the J-10, you need to buy a bunch, like hundreds upon hundreds of them to even have it's great, but it's not going to do what the article said, which is give them a chance against Israel. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And it's just like saying, is the F-35 going to do it all by itself? The answer is no. Right. Yeah. So any kind of large scale air offensive or defensive, man, there's a lot of planning, training, and logistics behind the mission. Like the Midnight Hammer mission, right? Like we talked about last week, man, the logistics, right? Just to get the weapons on target is incredible. So, hey, is the J-10C an upgrade from what they have? Maybe. Yeah. Probably. Is it a step in the right direction towards modernizing their Air Force? I'd say yes. But like you said, is it going to make much of a difference right now or in the foreseeable future? I don't.
Mossad will take them out on the ground. What I think they need to worry about is becoming good neighbors.
Yeah.
And working on diplomacy.
Stop fighting.
Stop funding.
Stop fighting.
Terror organizations, Hamas.
Yes. Stop fighting. Both sides. Stop fighting, man.
Stop being a douchebag and focus on quality of life for your people.
Yeah.
And getting along with your neighbors. Yeah. This is not going to help you.
Yeah.
It's just, but it's all theater. It's all theater. They buy these and we're going to posture and it'll be tit for tat, but it's all theater.
Oh, my mic was off. And see, that's the thing, right? I started thinking about it as he was talking about it. I'm like, maybe they're buying these as throw-offs. Maybe they're buying these because they don't want to actually display what they actually have. So they're putting this like an actual throw-off to say, okay, that's all they got over there. All right, good. Let's throw this little chess move out in the public. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they're all the way dumb as far as the military over there, the Iranian military. You know what I'm saying? If not, they wouldn't be the threat that they actually are. That's the first thing people have to remember. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Swayze. Yes. Definitely join the Discord. I'll definitely put the link in there in just a second. So everybody else that has not joined the Discord, would greatly appreciate if you join the Discord. We do have a lot of fun up in there. Have a lot of laughs. Just talk general conversation. General conversation. You get to share what you like. Food, art, music, whatever you like. Grown folks in there. I'm just kidding. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome in there. But yeah, so pretty much we have to at least, keep ourselves informed on what is going on, as far as the weaponry, day by day, I keep saying to myself, something is going to happen somewhere. It's not just going to be just a regular retaliation. They're gonna bomb the White House type shit, right? It couldn't be that simple. It might be, but I don't think it's gonna be that simple, because the actual meaning behind "Death to America," when they were chanting that, the leader said that it was because they were talking about Donald Trump. They were talking about Michael Polo or something like that. They were talking about certain leaders over here. They weren't talking about the entire American race. That they said that as well. They were talking about just certain leaders, and Donald Trump, like I said, was one of them. And then I got to thinking, I was like, okay, so that will be referring to the Trump death card that everybody kept seeing in the Illuminati. Remember I showed you guys before the Illuminati card game, and they had the death card, Death of Trump. And then you've been seeing different displays, even in The Simpsons, right? They had the Death of Trump in there, right? Because they had the tale of two Trumps. They had the clone Trump in there, but then they had the actual Death of Trump, right? They depicted that part with the presidents. So it's okay. There's different signs of this happening. And it also starting the reset of America in general, but it also is the mark of the actual war that's coming. And I said, okay, with Trump doing this right now, right? It's only a matter of time. Like I said, he's antagonizing people, and he should not be.
Crime in Iowa caused by illegal aliens, but we're getting them the hell out of here. We have no choice. And our great, big, beautiful bill, it will build the Golden Dome missile defense shield. We're going to have the best shield. And you saw that just the other day where the missiles are being shot down one after another. They called me to tell me they have to take a shot at us. This was Iran, very respectful. That means they respect us. Because we dropped 14 bombs, they said, we'd like to take 14 shots at you. I said, go ahead, I understand. They said, where they'd do it, I said, good. We emptied out the fort. It was a beautiful military base in Qatar who treated us really fantastically well. And they said, sir, 1 o'clock, okay? I said, it was fine. We could make it later. And we had nobody but 4 gunners. We had 4, they call them gunners, and they shoot the Patriots. They shoot the missiles up. It's hard to believe. So all of a sudden, they said, we're ready. And they were a little nervous about doing it, I want to tell you. Can you imagine? They were nice enough. This is Iran to call me and tell me that they would like to shoot me at 14 times. So they want to shoot us. And I said, go ahead. And they shot 14 high-grade, very fast missiles. Every single one of them was shot down routinely by these 4 unbelievable gunmen. And they did their job. And that was the end of that. But the big thing was the attack on their nuclear facilities, what those people did. And they're going to be in Washington tomorrow at the White House. We're going to be celebrating. We took not only the pilots, but the people that flew the other planes, but also the mechanics that had these planes going for 37 hours without a stop. We had it was so far away. We had 52 tankers. Think of that, 52 that's loaded up with oil. I wouldn't want to fly one of those suckers over random. I say, what happens if they're shot at? Well, sir, that's a tough situation. It's not a pretty sight, but they were unbelievable. 52 tankers to load them up. They followed the planes in, and they never had to stop for fuel. They went 37 hours, actually. And how incredible. What equipment. What equipment. And, China, Russia, they were all watching. Everybody was watching. We have the greatest equipment anywhere in the world. We have the greatest people anywhere in the world. And we have this.
It is the mockery that he keeps doing to other countries that is going to piss other countries off. China and Russia, it was all watching. No, they weren't. They're not paying attention to your fancy little moving with the 37 hours of the plane. They're not impressed by that, Trump. On the surface level, right? Trump is an agent of chaos. Bingo. That is my whole thing. This man literally is the mark of death as far as America and the fall of Babylon. He is literally that. He is the one that is going to usher in the death of America. Literally, that is what's in the scriptures. He is going to be the one that actually does it. And I'm going to actually show you guys something, including the Denver murals in here in a second as well.
Strongest military anywhere in the world. But we're going to fully modernize our air traffic control system and expand school choice and really so much more. By the way, the air traffic control, you probably don't have that problem here. You have planes land like they, but in some congested areas, you saw what happened with the helicopter and the plane and a lot of other things. If we had great equipment, and we should have had, it was all set up to go. And then Biden canceled the order when he came in, but he canceled a lot of orders because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. There's a case would have never happened. Bells would have gone off, whistles would have gone off, everything would have gone off. It would have never happened. Very simply, the one big beautiful bill would deliver the strongest border on earth, the strongest economy on earth, the strongest military on earth, and ensure the United States of America will remain the strongest country anywhere on this beautiful planet of ours. 165 days into the Trump administration, America is on a winning streak like, frankly, nobody's ever seen before in the history of the presidency. I said, they said, you know, sir, you're going to go down as one of the greatest presidents ever. I said, really? No, I said, really? I said, better than Washington? They said, yes, sir. I said, better than Honest Abe Lincoln? They said, yes, sir. I said, I like this guy that said that. That's a smart guy. He's up for a big promotion right now. But just a few months ago, our country was cold as ice. We were laughed at all over the world. We were laughed at. Think of it, a year ago, we were laughed at. We were a bunch of clowns. They were laughing at our president. They were laughing at everything having to do with our country. I was in Saudi Arabia. I was in Qatar. I was in UAE. Great leaders, strong, powerful, very rich leaders too, by the way, but great leaders, very smart people. And they said to me, the king of Saudi Arabia, but the three said the same thing essentially. They said, you know, a year ago we thought your country was finished. We thought it was dead. Dead. Horrible word. Dead.
I don't even like how he ended that, honestly. How they ended the clip. I hate how they ended that clip right there. But the other thing I was looking up was Nostradamus', like I said, predictions was World War III in the year 2025. And that's been making headlines recently. Yeah, he predicted that there will be World War III between us and Iran in the year 2025. And not a lot of his predictions have been wrong. As you all know who Nostradamus is. Again, I repeat, his predictions have not been known to be wrong. So when I heard that, I said, "Oh, that's not good timing with what Trump is doing right now." I said, "That's terrible timing. It's the summertime." I repeat, it's the summertime. We mid-year. We are mid-year, guys. And Iran is getting 20,000 missiles. I'll run that last message back in case you didn't read it. Iran's arsenal could spell trouble for the Middle East, rest of the world, per the official. Pretty much, they have nukes over there too. Everybody got nukes. Right? Everybody got bombs. Iran just so happens to be someone with a nuke that possibly doesn't give a fuck less than the others, if you get my drift. Case is going too fast. Hold on. I got y'all in case it's going too fast. Okay, so the missiles that Iran is developing can already reach Europe, and they have plans for further advancements that could enable them to strike the United States. We assessed that Iran had approximately 2,000 to 2,500 ballistic missiles at the beginning of this conflict. However, they were rapidly moving toward a mass production strategy, which could see their missile stockpile grow to 8,000 or even 20,000 missiles in the next few years. With such vast resources, they have no reason to enrich uranium to the levels they have unless they are actively seeking to build nuclear weapons. So now you hear again why they bombed where they're making their uranium. You heard that specifically. The bombers, the B-2 bombers, bombed specifically where they were making the uranium underground. But you hear right here, they have no reason to enrich uranium to the levels they have unless they are actively seeking to build what? Nuclear weapons. That is pretty much what they're planning to do down there. It's not just about the investments and the funds that they actually create in the stock itself. It is the actual meaning that they are doing more than just creating wealth for the Iranian government. They are actually down there using this to make nuclear weapons. They were moving ahead with every step in the nuclear weapons process, and if we didn't act, we would have faced the reality of a nuclear-armed Iran. Who's to say that they haven't still continued with that? For a state the size of Israel, that's an existential threat. Even with our impressive defense systems, you can't defend against 10,000 ballistic missiles. Notably, the Israeli officials' remarks came as U.S. and Iran engaged in a war of words. Okay, so reading it slow now. warned Iran would target more U.S. bases if Trump launched more attacks, which he just, again, he just antagonized him and said, go ahead. So pretty much, Trump is saying, hey, you guys got to stop that building nuclear weapons. You have got to stop that. Which Iran is probably saying, fuck you, buddy. We're going to continue doing what we're doing. You keep threatening us, we will go back and retaliate against you. Exactly. They already struck us once. They attacked the U.S. Qatar air base as revenge for the American bombing in its nuke sites. Pretty much saying, hey, you over there in America, chill out. Europeans, chill out. Don't get in between what we're doing right here. Mind your business. I wish Trump would have minded his fucking business at the end of the day. Because what we are now realizing is that certain things from the Denver mural is starting to come to light. Now, there's a depiction of they said a Nazi soldier, right? But there's also talks that is also an Iranian soldier in the Denver airport murals.
Denver, Colorado is home to America's largest airport called the Denver New World Airport.
Now, right? Why do you think that is? Think about it, right? You walk into an airport and you see a fucking mural that might look like this, right? Now, I doubt there's a mural that actually looks like this in the airport. But that pagan horse is outside the airport. This is the depiction of what the airport means to a lot of people, right? By the time Trump leaves office, digital currency will have been implemented. It already is. It already is in some ways. It already is. That's the crazy part to that. There's a lot of symbolism inside this Denver airport. And now a lot of the murals are starting to actually come to fruition.
Denver, Colorado is home to America's largest airport called the Denver New World Airport. The airport was built by Freemasons in 1995 and features a Freemasonic dedication capstone in the atrium. A time cap.
That should tell you something right there. Look who built it. I mean, we all know the Freemasons are architects of the nation, right? That's a known fact that, you know, they're the architects of our nation, literally. That's why you have the pentagram where the White House is. You have the pentagram, and the Baphomet symbol is literally in the drawings, in the blueprint around the White House. You have a 5-point star in the middle of the blueprint. That's not by accident. That's literally because they put it there.
Capsule is buried underneath the stone to be opened in the year 2094.
Now, this is another thing that was very telling. Because I'm saying to myself, well, 2094, if you think about it, it's not far from now. that is not far from now. Because we are in the year 2025 going into 2026. That's 2096. That's what, 70 years from now? That's literally 70 years from now. So one of let's just say the next generation, right? If you will. If you want to say if your child now has a kid in about 10 years, his generation is going to see the opening of that capsule. Again, that's not far from now. That's not far from now at all. 70 years. So what is to actually happen between now and those 70 years is what my brain is starting to say now. If this capsule was made here for 1994 and not to be open to 2094, well, what the fuck is supposed to happen in between then? And why is this airport so symbolic with all of these murals and all of this reset of the world surrounding it?
The New World Denver Airport has a swastika-shaped runway.
See what I mean? It's certain shit that you have to pay attention to in the blueprints. The first thing I said when I started looking at the Denver Airport murals blueprint and architecture, I said, they are literally making this where when the reset of the world starts to happen, this is where they're going to start gathering people up and putting them.
There is reportedly a deep underground military base beneath the airport, with miles and miles of secret subterranean tunnels connected to a large network of underground cities. As passengers drive up to the main airport terminal, they are greeted by a sinister-looking 32-foot-high fiberglass blue stallion with veins popping out of its body.
Literally the horse of apocalypse, the fourth horse of apocalypse, marking again the reset of the world, is a statue outside of the fucking airport. You just heard what is also underneath it. Underground cities connected to a military base. This is what is coming, y'all.
And demonic eyes that glow bright red. Not exactly a calming influence for travelers who are already spooked about getting on a plane. The sculpture is believed to symbolize the pale horse of the apocalypse mentioned in the Bible, whose name is Death. The sculptor, Luis Jimenez, was killed by the horse when a chunk of the sculpture broke loose and came crashing down on him. Locals call the horse Blucifer.
Blucifer. And as you just heard, that's an actual true story. Yes, a chunk of the horse, while making it, fell on the creator of it and killed him. If that is not spiritual enough for you, I don't know what is.
Inside the airport, travelers hurry past grotesque gargoyles in suitcases that leer down at them, and morbid apocalyptic murals that line the airport walls at the main gate. 4 panels of giant-sized wall murals in the baggage claim area tell a terrifying and prophetic story in pictures of how humanity's future is going to unfold.
Now, besides that, right? The gargoyles. These gargoyles, as you saw, their heads move. They talk. Their heads don't just move mechanically. They don't just No. You can actually talk to them and they have like a friendly voice. But it's the fact that you have talking demonic, I should say, gargoyles in your fucking airport. Who has talking demonic gargoyles in their airport?
At them, and morbid apocalyptic murals that line the airport walls at the main gate. 4 panels of giant-sized wall murals in the baggage claim area tell a terrifying and prophetic story in pictures of how humanity's future is going to unfold. The first mural reveals a horrific Darth Vader-like figure wearing a Nazi general uniform and a gas mask. The gas mask indicates that the next war will use depopulating biological or chemical agents,
AKA nuclear weapons. Now this is where I said, okay, this is what the gentleman was talking about before when I watched the video on this, and he said this looks like a depiction of an Iranian soldier. Let me see if I can find a picture of one. As a matter of fact, that would be a good idea, right? That would be a good idea. Okay. Oh, you know what? Much better. Okay, much better, much better, much better. All right. Okay, there we go. I should have clicked on the picture. Duh. I mean, you get the drift, right? Similar hat. That's the Israeli. Like I said, the similar, very similar wear in the patches is what I started looking at. Very similar wear in the patches.
The white dove that he is killing symbolizes peace. On the right are destroyed buildings reminiscent of the Twin Towers.
The guy that made the horse was killed by the guy that made the horse was killed by the horse. Yep. Yes, this airport is weird. I don't remember the guardrails, but those murals are something else. It's a lot of things that are inside this airport. Like, people have tried to make documentaries about this airport, doing their own little investigations, and they've been shunned away, especially when they try to go downstairs and look at the concentration camps that's down there, right? Because you have the actual, across the street, you have the buses. You have the buses, and you're like, well, why are there buses across the street? Like, why are there transportation vehicles, so many of them, already parked across the street? Then you have the military bases that are just visible there. Then you have the underground city that's just visible there. It's like, why do you have all this shit at an airport? At a fucking airport. I've been to the airport twice, and it was quite a few years. I never paid attention because I was trying to rush my next flight. See, that's the thing. Not a lot of people actually will pay attention to this if you're just trying to go through it. But that's the thing. They make it so you have to just do that, right? You can't just be being nosy around trying to make your little, like I said, films or whatever, because they're going to just remove you, right? Because they know that there's something there. Especially with the Freemasons are actually having it heavily guarded. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Nazi General Scimitar's sword has been swished through the air, leaving behind a rainbow chemtrail that poisons the air and ethnic population below it. On the left is an endless line of weeping women refugees holding dead babies. There is no trace whatsoever of violence to the dead children.
Now, one thing that she said was what? The chemtrails coming through the air, right? Now, you also heard chemtrails involving what? Project Bluebeam. The chemtrails are pretty much going to be the main component into which they start the reset of things, right? Or should I say how they do it's going to be the main chemical component to how they're able to spread certain things actually happening, right? How they're able to spread us seeing things, how they're able to spread us smelling things, different manipulations of the mind through chemical manipulation. If that makes sense to you. Like I said, we did a breakdown of it with Project Bluebeam before, and how the chemtrails are going to play a serious part. It's one of the ingredients in it is barium. There was a guy that actually took a glass of water, and he pretty much broke down all the chemical compounds that was inside of the chemtrails, and it was different ones that made different things, of course. So there's the chemtrails that make the clouds we even have. There's chemtrails that can, like I said before, they're making an LED screen that's going to be in the sky that we can pretty much see to when they do Project Bluebeam and we see a different god on different sides of the earth. Different things like that. Then you have the chemtrails that are spread around to cause certain diseases at certain times. If you wonder how COVID was able to spread so fast, it was because of chemtrails. If you think about how certain diseases happen at certain times, it is because of chemtrails. How you might randomly have what they call the flu season. It's because they have a certain increase in the chemtrails around that season.
Who appear to have died from the deadly gas of the toxic rainbow. Why are there no men present? Presumably, they have all been killed. The Nazi general's scimitar sword that destroys peace is a symbol used by the Shriners, who are Freemasons.
I'm a Mason. I beat all my cases.
Freemasonry is a fraternity within a fraternity. Outwardly, it is a friendly charitable organization that conceals an inner brotherhood of the 33rd degree elect. The next airport mural shows a forest and a city in flames. The world's endangered animals and plants are extinct. Buffaloes, whales, leopards, elephants, and sea turtles. The sickly haze and leaping flames.
Now, I don't want to sidestep it, but one night we are actually going to go through a depiction of that. We're going to go through a depiction of this one night. The structure of Freemasonry and, do the apprenticeship and up. Like I said, I have the book still. I never made the documentary. I should say the different series of the Freemason book, because so much other stuff started going on, and in my life anyway. So I need to get back to doing that, of course, for you guys. One day we would definitely go through the structure of Freemasonry, though. As you can see here, the different depictions
of the third.
It's different. Pretty much the laddership, like I said, right? All the way up to the 33rd degree Mason. We're definitely going to take a look at that, because it's a lot.
33rd degree elect. The next airport mural shows a forest and a city in flames. The world's endangered animals and plants are extinct. Buffaloes, whales, leopards, elephants, and sea turtles. The sickly haze and leaping flames suggest a nuclear or biochemical devastation. Children are the only survivors, and they are weeping over 3 open caskets of an African girl on the left, a native girl in the center, and a white Judeo-Christian girl on the right. They represent the death of the old black, red, and white root races to make way for the New World race. The dead white girl in the...
To make way for the New World race. You heard it right there. Pretty much the death of, how we always wanted equality amongst the colors. Now the people don't see, the new generation of millennials don't necessarily are colorblind. They don't necessarily see color and things like that. That's pretty much what this is. Chemtrails and fog were big topics in a short while ago. Yes, it was. If Brian Steele is your lawyer, you'll beat your RICO. That's funny. Hey, he is that's crazy. He is 2-0 against the feds. That is crazy. Brian Steele is 2-0 right now against the feds. That's in the same year. I didn't even realize that. That boy, the new Johnny Cochran, ain't he? Yeah, pretty much the as she said, the coming of a new race. Pretty much this is, like I said, the start of the New World Order and the New World religion, in a sense. That's really what this is about here.
Coffin holds a Bible and a yellow Juden star, which was used by the Nazis to identify Jews. It symbolizes the death of Judeo-Christian beliefs.
See?
Another child holds a...
Pretty much the death of religion right there.
Mayan tablet depicting the end of the Mayan calendar and the end of the world as we know it. In the third mural, the apocalyptic war has ended. Children of all nations are joyfully giving up their nation's sovereignty to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed German boy at the center. They are all turning over their weapons wrapped in their country's national flag to the German boy. The Bavarian jacket leaves no doubt whatsoever that the blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy is German. He symbolizes the Bavarian Illuminati. With an iron fist, the German boy destroys the weapons of war symbolized by the Nazi general's sword. The German boy uses a hammer, which symbolizes the hammer and sickle of communism. In the foreground, the Nazi general is dead, with doves of peace perched on his corpse. The German boy symbolizes a world leader and savior who brings peace through communism to a devastated world. Who is this boy that the world gives up their flags and weapons to? We know he is German, with blonde hair and blue eyes, like Prince William, who posed as a boy for this Papua New Guinea stamp.
It's not him, though. I believe it's Trump.
Prince William's father is the son of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth, whose surnames were changed to cover up their German identities. Prince William's mother, Diana, was allegedly the daughter of James Goldsmith, a German Jew. In the fourth mirror...
Before we move on, the reason why I say that is like I said before. I already know from looking up his history. Donald is German descent. His paternal grandfather, Frederick Trump, was born in Germany. That's how he got over here. That's literally how his ass got over here. How his dad got over here. Through his grandfather. German and Scottish roots. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Leader. They are talking about Trump. Trump is the one that is pretty much, like I said, the main one to usher in the new world order. However, it seems to be through World War III and Nostradamus predictions, it's going to happen through a nuclear war first. That's pretty much what this mural is saying.
The Earth is restored, including the endangered species, the land and water. This future world is populated not by adults, but by parentless children. What happened to the adults? The children are in a dance line that is led by the Scottish boy, who symbolizes Scottish Rite Freemasonry.
What did I just say? German and Scottish descent. Again, when you say what happened to the adults, it's pretty much saying everybody else got wiped the fuck away. And our next generation survived. We're gone, and our next generation survived. I seen a video of Trump having some Tesla papers. He's too old. Not necessarily. Like I said, this is a depiction of a new leader ushering in the new world. But like I said, Trump is going to die. Trump is still going to die. There is going to be a new leader that actually, ushers in the new world, but it also comes with the death. That's the inevitable part of it. The inevitable part of it, I should say. It still comes with his death.
Also,
you know what? I'll give you a great analogy of that, right? If you ever seen the South Park movie, right? If you ever seen the South Park movie, there's literally a depiction of how the war started, how a world war between Canada and us started, right? There's literally a depiction of it where Terrence and Phillip, the so-called representatives of Canada, were both shot in the head, and it literally marked Satan coming up from the world as well as the war starting. So that little tidbit right there told me the reset of the world is going to start with the death of someone.
So on the far left is an African woman carrying a snake banner. The parentless children of the world are celebrating the New World religion as they gather around and touch the light of Lucifer, who appears as a genetically engineered plant. The plant is
a genetically engineered plant. And you heard what it's called.
As a genetically engineered plant. The parentless children of the world are celebrating the New World religion as they gather around and touch the light of Lucifer, who appears as a genetically engineered plant.
Now, I ran that part back because literally in Project Bluebeam, that is another part of it. They literally have a depiction of something that, you know, as we saw in the picture, looks something very similar to this, right? Like a flying brain almost. But it literally was saying that we're going to gather around it and pretty much work.
Known as the Quetzalcoatl, or feathered serpent. It is symbolically inseparable from the morning star and Lucifer. The main theme of the Denver New World Airport murals is an apocalypse, with massive depopulation, extinction of species, the death of Judeo-Christian beliefs, and the birth of one world government, one world ruler, and one world religion.
Historical figures throughout the ages, but it has also found a treasured place in the lives of millions of ordinary men, encouraging a love of tolerance, freedom, the dignity of mankind, and an understanding of their place in the universe under God.
That ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
The opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision.
You heard him. You heard him loud and clear. Loud and clear. People are really worshiping AI, yes. Unfortunately. Yes, people are really worshiping AI out here. Now, around this time last year, they saw the 7 suns appear. A mysterious phenomenon happened in China around August 2024, where an optical illusion caused by light refracting through the layered glass of a hospital window, they said, caused you to see 7 suns. But there's actual symbolism in the 7 suns. The concept of 7 suns holds diverse symbolic meanings across different cultures and belief systems, often representing stages of destruction, cosmic transformation, or ultimate judgment. In Buddhism, it symbolizes the stages of intense energy leading to the end of the world and the drying up of water sources, culminating in the burning of mountains. In Hinduism, it similarly symbolizes cataclysmic transformation and the annihilation of the cosmos. The number 7 itself is widely recognized as a symbol of perfection, divine completeness, or a significant cycle in various contexts, including biblical prophecy, where it relates to God's ultimate plan and judgment. So it even circles back to what we were saying about Beyonce wearing the wedding dress, the bride of death. with an American flag behind her, right? Because it symbolized what? Perfection and divine completion, right? Remember, I read that out. What the bride of death, the different symbolisms of the bride of death had meant, right? Or the faceless, losing identity. A significant cycle in various contexts, including biblical prophecy, where it relates to God's ultimate plan and judgment. Again, back to stages of destruction. Ultimate judgment. So it's not just necessarily, Chum, come down. What's going on? Based on the statement Obama made, do you think it will impact crypto? Yes. That's not a coincidence that Bitcoin is going up the way it is. As you mentioned earlier about cryptocurrency in the digital dollar, right? Digital currency. Trump will still be around when digital currency is well, he might not be actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Pretty much won't be. You're actually absolutely right. He will be gone when digital currency comes out. He actually will be gone. But digital currency, of course, is I think, like I said, Bitcoin is going to hit over at least 150K. I think by the end of the year they're projecting it to be at least over 150,000, which is a lot for one Bitcoin. That's a lot, considering what it used to be. That's a lot. As far as it affecting cryptocurrency in certain ways, like I said, I can see that happening. But like I said, I don't think it's going to affect the overall plan of us converting to digital currency only. Because we already have digital currency, electronic currency, if you think about it, right? But we're talking about just digital currency as far as just cryptocurrency. Yeah. He'll be gone by the time we do that. I don't necessarily think it's going to actually affect the cryptocurrency world as far as anything goes, because that's its own field. That's its own field that, he's not necessarily a controller of and never will be. But yeah, so you see. Oh, that's what I wanted to get into. So again, Trump did his big, beautiful bill. So he has this big agenda bill that's been making headlines recently. His big fat agenda bill. You think we'll have to take a chip to access our crypto? Yes. That'll be the next thing. That is part of the agenda. That's literally what they're trying to do, is eventually get us to take the microchip, because that's the mark of the beast, right? We all know about that part in the Bible, the mark of the beast that comes. When President Donald Trump signs his so-called big, beautiful bill into law Friday, much of the focus will be on its big ticket items, tax cuts, slashes to Medicaid and food stamp spending, and boosted border security funding. But lawmakers tucked a long list of measures that won't grab headlines into the massive tax and spending package. Here's a look at 7 of the lesser-known provisions of the measure. So Discovery's going to move. The Space Shuttle Discovery, parked at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum Annex in Northern Virginia since it was decommissioned in 2011, will be relocated its new home in Houston. Now, the bill includes $85 million to pay for its relocation and housing at the Johnson Space Center. Okay, that's one thing there. The space launch fees. That's another thing. So that's the fees will start at 25 cents per pound, capped at $30,000 per launch, and reach $1.50 per pound, capped at $200,000 per launch in 2033, which with increases tied to the consumer price index after that. Okay, so that was another thing. So this is in regards to Elon Musk's project here. So the commercial space flight companies like Elon Musk's SpaceX will have to pay fees for their launches and re-entries. So they do plan on doing something with space. It seems like in the near distant future, in the near future, I should say, not even distant future, in the near future. Bad news for gamblers. So currently gamblers can deduct their losses before paying taxes on their winnings. Under Trump's bill, though, they'll be able to deduct just 90% of their losses. For example, win $100,000 but lose $80,000. It's kind of crazy, right? You made $20,000, but now you owe $28,000 on taxes. The new amendment to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act would end professional gambling in the U.S. and hurt casual gamblers too. Professional poker player Phil Galfin said on Twitter, "You could pay more in tax than you won." So imagine you winning $100,000, but you got to pay back $80,000 of that shit. You be mad than a motherfucker. You won $20,000 at gambling at the casino at the slots, but then you gotta owe like $30,000 of shit. You like, huh? Kennedy Center renovations. The bill includes $257 million to carry out Trump's often mentioned plans for a makeover of Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. So look at where the money is actually being spent on and going to, guys. Gun silencer fees eliminated. The bill eliminates a $200 fee that gun owners are charged when purchasing silencers. I didn't even know they had a thing for that. Tax break for whaling captains. So this is an increase from $10,000 to $50,000 of a tax deduction for whaling related expenses. Car buyers loan deduction. Buying an American made car between 2025 and 2028, you'll be able to write it off up to $10,000 of interest paid on your auto loan. Now, if you don't know, okay, on an average, how many people you know really own this year as well as or should I say a next year car? Hell, there's people that own cars that are made 20 years ago right now that are trying to get by. There are not many people that own 25 vehicles unless you have that type of credit to be able to drive off the lot with one of them. On the other hand, those in the market for electrical vehicles will see a tax credit created under former President Joe Biden and worth up to $7,500 eliminated at the end of September. It had originally been scheduled to last through 2032. So now he cut a tax credit you had on your Tesla. That was a sting, of course, to Mr. Elon Musk. Pretty much saying, look, you want to gas up your little Teslas, take your ass somewhere else and do that shit. Since you want to have your new America party. That's pretty much what he's saying right now. And that's another thing, too. So Elon Musk, New America Party. Elon Musk says he has formed a new U.S. political party, the America Party. That's another thing, too. So I didn't really deep dive into that necessarily. That's something that just started happening over like I don't want to say, but 2 days ago. I've been hearing on Twitter. And then he had a big announcement of the new America Party. Like I said, it's not too much information on it, just that he's trying to make his own little political party away from the Democratic and Republican Party, making his own little thing that he's trying to do right now. I watched a bit today that showed the government knows that's new, but they also have, we showed before that the moon is actually hollow. So they have plans to actually take us to Mars. And they have shit that's already there. They have shit that is already there for when the real big blow up of the world happens, because that will happen. Earth is going to just be diminished. When that happens, in the distant future, the far distant future, I would say, when that happens, of course, majority of us that are here listening to this, we will be gone when that happens. But there is plans of the near future to take your children's generation. They will be seeing the Earth blown to fucking smithereens. They will be moving everybody to Mars. Literally, everybody will be moving their ass to Mars and living in a new city on Mars. They are developing that right now for when the coming of the world actually ends. So just remember that that is something that will happen. When the actual end of the world happens, that is when they plan to ship us off to Mars. Yes, they've been trying to leave us on Earth. They've been trying to leave us off Earth. You're absolutely right on that. You're absolutely right on that. What else? Yeah, I guess that was it, though. I guess that was it. So, like I said, I just wanted everybody to be extremely aware of things. I was looking at different things too. So a crowd had gathered in Colorado State Capitol to protest the military strikes in Iran. Ironically, Denver, Colorado, right, wanted to protest the military strikes. Like, I started seeing videos on that pop up. I'm not bullshitting. Like I said, you can read it right there. It says it. And Colorado experiences mixed feelings as he watches U.S. military action. Oh my gosh. I'm going to lose my voice. A crowd gathers at Colorado State Capitol to protest military strikes on Iran. Denver among cities to protest deadly strikes in Iran. Like, it's just different things, right? And then this is also happening. This is also happening across the world. So make sure I got both videos. So this is a video from Look Like Murder Mook. But this is just a compilation video of people hearing these loud booms over the past couple of weeks. In the past couple of months.
Booms happening in New York City right now. It ain't no fireworks. What is... Somebody let me know. What are these loud booms happening in New York City right now? It ain't no fireworks. What is... Somebody let...
Oh, no, Donald Trump don't start that stuff. What's that?
Just random.
Oh, no, Donald Trump don't start that stuff. What's that?
People are just hearing random sounds outside, not gunshots. See? She thought she was hearing shots. It's not gunshots. They're testing up there. They're literally testing the soundtrack to Project Bluebeam up there.
Anybody know what the loud booming sounds are in New York? Anybody know what the loud booming sounds are in New York?
So I don't know if y'all are gonna be able to hear this. Oh, sure, now it wants to stop. There, did you hear that? Like, it sounds like it could be fireworks, but like, it sounds like it's coming from over there. And some of them sound like they're coming from over there.
So it's definitely not gunshots.
I don't know what's going on.
That's how you can tell it's not gunshots, because it's coming from different sides of his ear. If it was gunshots, it would be in one direction.
But something's booming. Yeah. Sorry for the dead air. I don't know what the hell's going on.
The crazy thing is, right? I used to hear this outside. I used to hear this outside my window back in New York the apartment I was in before I moved here. I used to hear these loud booms outside the window, and I thought it was actual gunshots. It was this shit.
So I don't know if
That's a crazy effect for thunder. Without no electrical wave, you know? Almost looked like a soundtrack in the back being made. Oh.
The fuck is that?
Bro was outside on his patio like, what the fuck am I hearing?
That's fireworks over there, but what the fuck? How can
So it wasn't just New York. This has been happening recently over the past week all over the world. I mean, not over the world, all over the country. Different videos from around the country are hearing these loud booms at night.
Get the fuck out of here. There ain't no firework. Oh my god. That is not. Holy fuck. What? We don't live in Vegas. That's not. What the fuck? That's fireworks over there.
This is June 23rd. I heard an extremely loud boom. No rain, no thunder. 9:51 just happened just now. Third night in a row. Copyright.
The same weird sounds that were in New York are now in Dallas, Texas.
You heard that? Dallas, Texas. Major cities. Get my drift?
There's the moon. Can't really. Same weird sounds. The same weird sounds that were in New York.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hellies? What the helliance? What the hell?
Strange NYC, Atlanta, and Ohio. Is your city getting these strange boom sounds? Strange boom.
Kentucky, June 27th. So again, as you saw, it's not fireworks. This is a week before.
So now the Anunnaki are communicating with people through their smart TVs. And you want to know why? Because they said why. They're at war. They're here and they're in the middle of a galactic war. If you've noticed, there's been loud booming noises going off in New York City. They can't figure out why. You know, even though it's getting close to 4th of July, it's not fireworks. Then you got these orbs in a row, pink, red, blue, all in a row. And so now they look like meteors when they come down. It's just remnants.
Now, the crazy thing is about that, right? You know, it sounds nuts, all right? You think, right? We know that the Anunnaki are the creators of man, right? The actual creators of man. So with that, I started thinking about what James had looked at, our boy James on YouTube. And I had actually stumbled upon the channel, but I didn't necessarily know what it was. But then we saw the actual breakdown of it, right? So number, channel, weird, YouTube. Just go right to the Reddit, right? So I'll just put that in. Is this one of them?
2, 3.
Dig deep for the truth. Unearth hidden treasures. Every layer hold.
Like this one, right? This is one of them. This is one of the videos. That's just one of the videos that was there, right? Let me see if I can find the actual channel. This is the channel. This is the channel right here. This is it right here.
Malone Painting is a local.
Let's try to find it. This is the channel that I thought of, right? I was like, because we broke it down that they were trying to communicate through something. Like a lot of them had like satellite feeds in their actual thing. Like this is a satellite feed, but because it even sounds like it. Like it's just 10 minutes of this. It's just literally 10 minutes of this. It's like a broken up satellite feed of something, someone seeing something somewhere, right? But it's different angles of it. It's different. This looks like someone looking through a parallel universe, right? Like it's different messages. I just started noticing that there's different shit with this, right? I was like, this isn't random. But these are not. This isn't random. This is like this. Like at all. This is not random. And the fact that this was in numbers like this, like I said, this is a very growing channel. I couldn't tell if these were like doorways or what. But then this one, like I said, this is the one we looked at in actual camera feed. You see what I'm saying? 43 dead in Texas from the flooding. This popped up for me a couple of days ago. The name of the channel, it's right here. I'll copy and it's 312, 312-153-432. That's the name. That's literally the name of the channel. Like this shit, like I said, looks like some type of doorway. And people were actually going through the comments, like I said, breaking down the different binary codes of it. It's a cool like a little video. You should definitely, when you get a chance, take a look at it when you get a chance on my channel. We actually took a look at what James was actually found. People actually breaking down what the actual coding meant in the channel. I wonder what happened if you played it backwards. I don't want to know what happens if you play it backwards. So you have seen what I'm talking about, Jupiter. It's like I said, it's a weird channel. It's a weird channel. Like I said, it almost feels like when you're watching it, you definitely feel like you're either opening a doorway or you're looking through one. Like just the energy of it just feels off. You know what I mean? It just feels off, in my opinion. People call it the terrifying and weird YouTube channel. Like I said, the energy of it just feels so off to me. So it's like I look at it, but I don't necessarily So like I said, I haven't felt weird energy like that in a long time, and it was the type of energy that literally bothers you. It literally bothers you. But this is the name of the channel right here, though. That's the channel right there, though. Do you see it, chum? 312-153-4312. That's the name of the channel. And even when you look up here, right, it looks like little aliens. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 short little aliens in the picture. This even looks like a face in between disorientation and the symbol. Yeah, skim through it at your own risk, chum. Skim through it at your own risk, buddy. I definitely would take heed to it. Skim through it on your own risk. Trust me. Well, like augmented reality? What do you mean ARG? What is that though? I don't want to misinform. What is that? What is the ARG? It's almost like a new digital yang symbol. Digital yin yang symbol. Yeah. That's the name. That's it right there. That's it right here. That is it right here. That's the channel right there. So for anybody that wants to take a look at it, definitely take a look at your own risk and your own. Trust me, like I said, the feel of it. Even if you have headphones on, you will definitely understand what I mean by you just feel the weirdest energy from it. But this also happened.
Look at her. She gonna put. It's a UFO for real, y'all. That is crazy. Y'all, that's crazy. It's a UFO for real, y'all. I promise y'all.
It looked like a street light to me. To be honest with you, it looked like a street light. And I was reading the comments, I was like, so people didn't say it was just a fake street light. I thought it was a street light from distance, but I'm like, that's too big to be a street light. That's too big to be a street light. And of course, it would happen somewhere like this where people would not believe them. You often have this that horror trend where people are in character and make mystery puzzles out of them. An example: Marble Hornets. But each ARG gets more and more cryptic. Yeah, I guess you could say it is like that. Then I guess you could definitely say like it is like that because, like I said, those are binary codes. That's also binary codes that the titles are. So it's not necessarily just a bunch of random numbers. It's actually binary codes that mean something. They're different messages, I should say. All right. Because yeah, we got 2 hours in on that. What was the next thing I needed to